Welcome back to the Deep Dig Sports Pod. I'm your host, Drew, my other host, right over there.
What's up? It's D. Good to see you again. I hope you all had an awesome Thanksgiving. We are coming off of what feels like the longest week of football of the entire year. Thursday Thanksgiving games, 3 of them, a Black Friday game. We had Sunday and Monday. It was just packed to the gills with football. We hope that you enjoyed it with your friends and family. We're talking a whole bunch of stuff. 49ers take on the Seahawks. They beat them. Eagles beat the Bills. Now they are facing each other. It's Eagles week in Philly. This is going to be an epic game, one that we've had circled for a long time. We're talking updates from the NFC South. We're talking who has the number one pick. What is the draft order looking like? College football as well. Championship week is this weekend. It's looking crazy. Before we get into all that, be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe because we're doing this week in and week out. And be sure to drop some comments below. Just let us know your thoughts. We always appreciate it.
Let's talk about the college football playoff.
Yeah. So rankings right now, Georgia, number 1. Michigan, number 1. Washington, undefeated. Washington, undefeated. Florida State, undefeated. That's your top 4 as of right now. But Georgia is going to be playing Alabama this week in the championship. Washington is going to be playing Oregon in this championship. And Florida State is going to be playing Louisville. Florida State, of course, Travis Jordan out for the rest of the season with a broken leg. Hope he recovers. And he is already committed to going into the NFL draft, I believe. He'd said that. So things are looking pretty crazy on that front. If Georgia ends up losing to Alabama, that's the one that could shape the entire playoffs. Because then you're looking at a one-loss Georgia team, a one-loss Alabama team, and a one-loss Texas team that also beat Alabama. And so what do you do then? It's pretty insane. Michigan looks like they're solidified. They are going to, unless they lose their championship game against Iowa, which Iowa doesn't have an offense whatsoever. Did you see that Iowa had a clause in the offensive coordinator's contract that they had to score over a certain amount of points on average per game, and they didn't hit that?
Yeah.
So imagine you getting fired from a number 18 team in the league because you just didn't win by enough points. But yeah, I mean, I think they're going to beat Iowa, so I think they're solidified in this. And taking a look at it, like Oregon and Washington is going to be a huge game. If Oregon does knock off Washington, how could you put Washington in the college football playoffs when you just seen they got beat by Oregon? So pretty crazy. I mean, for you, who do you think is going to be the 4 teams in the college football playoff?
I mean, I'm just looking over again really quickly. It's wild right now because the Georgia and Bama game is going to be huge. And then if Washington just wins out, you can't leave an undefeated outside looking in. And same thing with Florida State. Even though Florida State's resume might not be as strong as the other teams,
but they're undefeated. It's an
undefeated that's what I'm saying. You can't leave an undefeated.
What does kind of hinder me is the fact that they're going in. If they do beat Louisville with their backup quarterback, do you just take them off of the college football playoff because, hey, you have a backup quarterback? And if you do that, you're basically admitting the season doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you can just put a spreadsheet up and like, who's the healthiest team? Let's go ahead and pick them.
Yeah, especially if Bama gets in. Bama hasn't been as dominant as they usually are, but they still have 11 wins. And if they beat Georgia, yeah, send them up. Like, of course they're going to make it if they beat Georgia. And then the whole thing, like Harbaugh, is he going to be allowed to coach the playoffs? And is that going to affect how well they do in the playoff?
Yeah, man. I mean, and then you look at Texas. If Bama does beat Georgia and Texas is the only team that beat Bama, I mean, if Washington loses, if Florida State loses, that's an easy in for Texas on their resume. That's a feather in their cap beating Bama.
But here's the thing, though. NCAA is chomping at the bit for one of those teams to lose to put Ohio State right back in there. You don't think they
I know.
want Ohio State over Texas?
Well, I think one, because Texas beat Bama and Ohio State is lost to Michigan. They're not going to be in the championship game. You can't just go, hey, you just lost to Michigan. Let's put you in off of a loss. You know what I mean? I think that Ohio State's done. Like, you can't put them in off of a loss.
I mean, if Florida State loses, I think it's a consideration. And they're still ranked above Texas. So if that happens, then you are looking at like, all right, regular season doesn't fucking matter because they're gonna try their hardest to get Ohio State. They're gonna try to get Alabama in there. I would love dream scenario right here is like Florida State to lose, Oregon to get in, and then we have 2 Pac-12 teams in the top 4.
How though? How would you have two? Because Oregon has to beat Washington.
Oh yeah, true.
So that would knock Washington off. Again, you can't go into the college football playoffs off of a loss.
Yeah, so it's Washington or Oregon. And even if Oregon wins, I feel like they could shift this around and really screw them over and leave them on the outside looking in.
The only team that I think can lose and still get into the college football playoffs is Georgia. The back-to-back champs with a chance to three-peat, you have to put them in. It's such a sticky scenario. That would be nightmare for this committee if Alabama beats Georgia this week. It's going to be a shit show. There's going to be so much discourse throughout. I just don't know how you'd play it then because, again, Georgia back-to-back national champs with a chance to three-peat. You've got to put them in because they only have one loss, but you just lost to Bama. And then, I just don't know how you're going to play it, dude.
I know people shit on kind of the idea for this 12-team playoff that's coming. Would this be a year that it kind of looks like, man, I would love to see a lot more teams in this playoff?
I mean, I could go without 12 teams. I mean, I could go with 8. If we went to 8.
So if we went to 12, all these teams would make it, and then we got Missouri, Penn State, Ole Miss, and Oklahoma. That's not terrible.
I'm good.
Like, do you think Oklahoma on a good day could knock out Georgia?
No.
Ole Miss, Michigan, Penn State, I think they put a fight against Washington.
I'd rather not. I would just let's bounce it to 8. Let's just do the 8. You know what I mean?
We'll see, we'll have to see next year how it plays out.
But yeah, I mean, this is going to be a crazy week in college football. I mean, as it is every single year. Let us know in the comments who you think is going to get the 4 spots in the college football playoff. Let us know.
Go Colorado.